Content warning. This whole episode contains discussion of the murder of 2 children, as well as horrible topics like child pornography and child molestation. Listener discretion is strongly advised. This episode also contains profanity. We're airing a bonus episode this week because of news that just broke regarding the murders of Liberty German and Abigail Williams in Delphi, Indiana. We just conducted an interview that sheds light on Kegan Anthony Kline, a new name that's been brought up in connection with the case. And we certainly weren't going to sit on that until our Burger Chef miniseries concludes in a few weeks.
On the evening of December 6, 2021, the Indiana State Police Information Channel released a short video, just 2 minutes and 16 seconds, on YouTube. It featured ISP Public Information Officer Sergeant Jeremy Pierce sitting against what appeared to be a cloth backdrop emblazoned with ISP logos. The clip was brief and its setup was simple, but the information this video contained was shocking, to say the least. Pierce said that during the investigation into the Delphi murders, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police had uncovered a social media profile called Anthony Shots. That's Anthony_Shots. The information officer said that this social media profile operated from 2016 to 2017 on platforms Snapchat and Instagram, that it stole photos of a known male model and luxury cars to catfish and attempt to meet juvenile females. This was a pretty major announcement in the Delphi case after years of relative quiet.
Before we go any further, let's quickly recap the case. Liberty German and Abigail Williams were 2 young girls from the city of Delphi in Indiana's Carroll County. On February 13th, 2017, these 2 friends hiked Delphi's forested trails and walked across the abandoned Monon High Bridge. Libby even posted an image of Abby making her way along it. A few minutes later, they ran into someone, a man. Libby recorded at least a portion of the encounter, but only a few moments of it have been released. The man calls them guys and tells them to go down the hill. We don't know exactly what happened next, but police believe that the person you just heard on that snippet of audio killed Libby and Abby. Authorities released grainy images of the man taken from Libby's video. And for a long time in the case, since April of 2019, when ISP released a new suspect sketch, authorities have been pretty silent.
Until, that is, this mysterious late-night YouTube video released out of nowhere. The next day, more startling news would follow. Wish TV, an Indianapolis news station, published a report identifying 27-year-old Kegan Anthony Kline as the man behind the Anthony Shots profile. They revealed that Kline was hit with 30 felony charges around child exploitation and child pornography on August 19, 2020. And they published the probable cause affidavit behind Kline's arrest. We're linked to all of that in our show notes. Basically, the affidavit said that the ISP and the FBI executed a search warrant at a residence on Canal Street in Peru, Indiana on February 25, 2017. That's just a little less than 2 weeks after the double homicide. Authorities seized Kline's electronic devices and found child pornography, which Kline allegedly admitted to soliciting from underage girls on the web. This did not go unnoticed. The search was covered in the Journal and Courier by reporter Megan Holden, but, at least at the time, law enforcement downplayed the importance of the raid in the media. The Journal and Courier piece featured a quote from FBI Special Agent Bob Ramsey, who said, "We in no way believe he is connected to the murder of those girls."
Shortly after the Wish TV piece came out today, lots of individuals who followed the Delphi case began looking up Klein. He's not hard to find on Twitter and Facebook and even Spotify. Some aspects of his online presence were extremely off-putting. In one 2016 tweet, he posted what seemed to be lyrics about strangling women. Other posts seemed to show a young man desperate to be thought of as successful. He claimed to work in the weed business, to work security for Lockheed Martin and the National Park Service, and to be a table games dealer and a bail agent in Las Vegas.
But we wanted more than that. We wanted to talk to someone who knew Klein.
After clocking that Klein was wearing a UAW shirt in his booking photo, I even called up the local. Their very kind rep said they couldn't find anything on him.
But we did. We ended up connecting with Dylan Howell, a former friend of Klein's, who was kind enough to talk about the man with us. We're publishing our talk with him now, with minimal edits. We wanted to get the community around the Delphi case this information quickly. So the audio may be a bit rougher than you're used to on this program.
My name is Anya Kane.
And I'm Kevin Greenland.
And this is The Murder Sheet, a weekly true crime podcast.
Anya and I connected over the Burger Chef murders, a 1978 unsolved case involving the killings of 4 young restaurant employees.
Now we're looking to track restaurant homicides. To help us understand the patterns of these crimes, we created a spreadsheet of nearly 1,000 eatery-related killings, the Murder Sheet. We'll be drawing on that data throughout Season 1 to give you a deep dive into undercovered crimes. We're the Murder Sheet, and this is The Delphi Murders, Kegan Anthony Kline.
Right, this shit's wild. Yeah, I knew about this like 8 months ago when it was going down.
Wow, that must have been like crazy to know something about this and then, like...
I knew it was going to blow up when, because I just figured it was going to blow up between like people we went to high school with, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh shit, once everybody finds out about this, they'll just share the shit out of his story on Facebook. But yeah, it's getting way bigger than what I thought. It's crazy.
What exactly did you know about 8 months ago?
Well, I got hit up by the federales that they told me everything he did, like as far as the child porn stuff.
Wow. Did they mention the Delphi connection, or did they just talk about the child porn accusations?
They said something about that, but they said that they don't. It's like, because I met with one of them because they were trying to get an iPad off me. Like, dude had sold me an iPad, and they didn't know if there was some like content on there or something. So I like agreed. They're like, "Do you agree to meet up with me or whatever?" Because I didn't want to get in any trouble. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll meet up with you." And they said, the guy, the FBI agent, said something to me when we were meeting about that, and he said he doesn't think. He said he's in big, deep waters and big trouble, probably in trouble for the rest of his life. But he said he doesn't know whether if he was involved with the Delphi people or the 2 young girls or not. And it was like, that's all he had mentioned of it. The fact that he even brought it in there too, I didn't even think anything of it. I was blindsided of the fact that it was even happening, because I had known him my whole life. I was childhood friends with him this small town called Young America, and it's like I freaking grew up with him. I had to go to my dad's every weekend, and my dad lives in this small town called Young. That was like my only friend there. I've known him since like I was kindergarten through went through all of high school, and it's like, yeah, this is something I never expected. Him and his girlfriend, like, one that was going down, it was like, she was like, the FBI agents try to get a hold of you about the iPad. So I was like, okay, the iPad's stolen, whatever, some sketchy shit, whatever. And then when they told me about it, I was like, just Lord, I'm like, no way, not in a million years. Like, now that it's all said and done, because I got a brother and we were just on the phone before you guys called. We talked about it. It's like, yeah, now that it's said and done, like you can see, bro's like always never had like a good girlfriend. Like he's been like I guess you could say creepish, but it never would have been like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You never would have expected that shit.
That's I'm really sorry that like, you think you know someone and then something like this happens. That must have been really shocking for you.
Oh yeah, it's not. I can't believe, honest to God, like I cannot believe, but it was more like with me and she's my wife now, but she was my fiance. Like it was just information between us. I'm like, I'm telling you, this shit's going to go crazy once people find out. But once I went back home, because we were using the iPad, like that was the iPad he sold me. He sold it to me for dirt cheap. So it's like, okay, I'm going to buy this iPad for $100. Boom. I'm talking to my fiance the whole time. Like, I'm about to buy this iPad. Now I'm using it. I'm using this iPad for like 2.5 months, however long I had it. And then they call me. I'm like, oh yeah, this is crazy. And they asked me that I want it back. I'm like, hell no. You guys can have that forever. I don't want to be tied to none of this. I'm even getting sketched out by this guy, by you messaging me in my messenger. And I've had like 5 people message me through this whole small period of time. Because I do heating and cooling, so I'm at work and stuff. You know what I mean? But I check my Facebook and I see my feed going crazy. Like the WGTV, everybody's doing a story on them and shit. Like, who is Kegan Klein? I'm like, yeah, this is going crazy.
Right, because I mean, it's such a high-profile case, and it's like now, I mean, there's been no names, right, released in forever, and now it's like they're. It's weird because the FBI also, what he told you, but he also said to the press that he didn't think he was involved a few years ago. So it's like
they said it right there in the article too. So it's like, that's why I was like, well, I don't know, because if maybe they're trying to deflect some people running off with it, but why would they say that if they're, and I just talked to my brother about that. I'm like, well, why wouldn't they do just like a lie detector test to get it, nip it in the bud, to be like, okay, like did you kill the girls, and then it would be done. So like they've had him locked up for a long enough time for that to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, why wouldn't it be just that cut and dry? Why would there be still any mystery? Because the picture, yeah, now they're all floating the picture. Like literally on the phone, I got somebody commenting like the Delphi killer drawing image on one of my posts because I shared his music back in like 2009, and I said on the post, I said, this is I've known this dude forever. This is my bro, and check his music out. And somebody already commented on there with like the Delphi killer picture image and his image side by side. I'm like, oh, this is what his focus is on. Because I'm like sketched out about the child porn shit. You know what I'm saying? And then add the killing of the 2 children on top of it. It's like, this shit is unreal. I wasn't even going there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's like it's bad enough, and then this happened. And I'm curious with the Delphi, before he got in trouble, before anyone knew anything was off, did he ever bring that case up or talk about it?
Him, Kegan, personally?
Yeah.
Hell no. Like I'm saying, he would never talk to me about. He would always talk to me sometimes. Like, I wouldn't say always would talk to me, but he would just say that he's doing like crypto shit and he was on the dark web. Like, he was always like that kind of intricate person. Like, you know what I'm saying? How there's people on the internet and on the dark web and you don't know shit about it. Like, you're just a regular dude. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, he would always be that. But as far as the Delphi case, or like acting weird and sketchy as far as that, like, no, wholeheartedly. Like, he's either $1 million actor or like he's like, you know what I'm saying? Just ignore the shit. But it was the same. As much as I say that, it's the same thing with the child porn. You wouldn't ever know. You know what I mean? You just would have never known. You wouldn't have known that he liked 17-year-old girls, 18-year-old girls. You wouldn't have known that he liked younger girls. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nothing about that would have been brought up because he was just playing it cool. If I would hang out with him, we would smoke, and it would never be. We would talk about music, and he was always like a big ass faker. Like, he would fake everything. Like, oh, I'm going to Las Vegas, or I'm going to Colorado, and I'm a body. What is it called? A bounty. He was a bounty hunter in Las Vegas. Bro would be like saying shit like that, and it's like, I know you though, dude. Like, I know you're not on shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're no way you're doing all this shit.
So he's kind of a braggart or something. Like, he's like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. A braggart, and it was never to be taken serious by anybody. So it's like, I can understand and make sense to why this is all crumbling now, because bro is crazy as shit now. Like, now that it's like reflecting in front of my face, it's like, yeah, this kind of is wild as shit. But yeah, he was a big ass faker, big bragger, big fake.
You said yeah, I'm sorry, go on.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say, but in the same breath, I'm not just trying to diss him. Like, my brother said the same thing. Like, a lot of people are on Facebook like, oh, fuck him, let him die, right? I'm a man of God. Like, I feel like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not condoning nothing he did or appreciate or co-signing anything. I disagree wholeheartedly, but it's like, I don't feel like I'm still in a position where I should tell somebody to go die. You know what I mean? Like, I just seen people, I get it, like, it's terrible, but I don't want nobody to die. You know what I mean? I don't wish death on him or nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like, and we don't even, I mean, they've released his name, but we don't really know at this point whether, all the stuff about the murders at this point is just allegations.
Exactly, and I guess it got court December 16th, it said on the thing. But the court will probably most likely be discussing the 30 felony charges of child pornography, you know? Right. So how would they even intertwine that? But why is it that, how did he become a suspect into the Delphi murder that you guys know of? Like, you know what I mean? How did that happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. From what we understand, there was a Journal Courier report on this back in 2017, like a week after the murders, and they said a guy's house in Peru was searched, and it seemed to be based off a tip from that was your sense, right, Kevin?
Yes. Yeah,
it was like a tip. So somebody likely called in saying, "Hey, you guys need to look into this Keegan Klein guy." And I don't know why they would have done that, but that's what the article sort of seems to indicate.
Wow, yeah, his dad or whoever lived in Peru, though, that is wild.
I'm curious, what was he like before all this happened and you knew about his secret self? How would you have described him?
Like I told you, like, I would have never took him serious as far as, like, if I'm just being genuine, like, I went to 3 different high schools. So I went to Lewis Cass, Kokomo, and then Greentown. So he was my Lewis Cass buddy, and like I said, every other weekend. He was just one of those kids who wasn't never really popular. Like, he was just a lame-o, you know what I mean? But he was my friend as far as, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, by default, by being around, by knowing me. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? That sounds bogus, but it's just like we was around each other. So he would be my friend, but as far as personality and who he was, he never had no psychopathic freaking, you know what I mean? He wasn't killing birds or doing weird ass evil demonic shit. Like, he was just always off to me as far as, like, just being a liar. Like, he would always, like, you talk about the brag, but it wouldn't be like just brag. It would be like an obvious lie. Like, things that me and my other friends that went to Lewis Cass, we all went to the same high school and talked about him before even of this shit. Like, when he's still out free and shit, we would always have conversations like, Kegan's on bullshit. Like, he's lying. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, he was a good, genuine person as far as, like, when you were around him, you never thought he had a funny laugh. Like, you never thought he would be evil or even in the sense anything about him. scream that he was a chomo or like a potentially kill anything. Like, he was just not that dude. He was always big, chubby, and fat, and soft. You know, he never wanted to fight. Like, we'd always play football and was tough. He wasn't that. He wasn't tough. He was soft. He was a gushy gush. But I don't know, as far as describe his personality. He liked music. He never seemed like a weirdo to me. So that's what I told my brother. But now once it's like in my face, it's like, yeah. Because he's from such a small town. Like, Young America, I don't know if you guys are local or wherever you're from, but Young America is like, there is nothing. Like, we don't even got a gas station in Young America. Like, Young America is nothing. There's nothing in Young America. So that's where you grew up. It's just like, you know what I mean? Just country cornballs. Like, he wasn't on shit. So the more you're going to Lewis Cass, now we're getting around kids. I could see him wanting to build his reputation by, like, being something he's not. But I never seen any, like, psychopath tendencies out of him. Because, yeah, I knew his dad. Like, we used to ride go-kart. He would ride in my go-kart for my dad. It's crazy to think about this shit. It's nuts. But I don't know how else to describe him. You know what I mean? Like, if you got further questions, like, that would be better, because I feel like I'm rambling. I don't know how else to describe him.
You're totally fine.
You said he never really seemed to have a lasting girlfriend?
No. Nope. No way. And I remember a specific story. I'm not going to say this girl's name because I'm married now and her name's not valid, but I was dating that girl, and, like, we were hanging out. I was probably 15, 16, and we were hanging out, and she was younger than me. So she would have been like 15, 14, and I would have been like 15, 16. Now, Kegan's a year or two younger than me. So she would have been his age, or, you know what I mean, right around there. So we was hanging out, and we were out, like, it was Halloween or something or whatever, but we were by the grain bins in, like, this town called Walton. It's over by Delphi somewhat. You guys know where Walton's at?
Yeah.
So we're in Walton, and it wasn't nothing like crazy story, but it's just like, she said that he was creeping him out, and he tried to kiss her, and that was like my friend, so I didn't ever want to, like, check him or punk him about it, or, like, confront him, be like, because, like, deep down I'm like, bro, I'll whoop your ass. Like, I know you're not trying to kiss my girl, you know what I mean? But she said that to me, that he came on her and he was like weird trying to kiss her and shit. So that was one red flag. Now, we didn't like every day pals hang out, but we hung out enough. But yeah, that's like the one story that I was like I said, as the time goes by, as I reflect, as my personal experience, I'm like, oh yeah, bro was always, yeah, he never had a girlfriend like that. Always, you know what I mean? Like, but that could go to lack of personality, heavy setness, looks. I don't know how you want to, because his personality, he was funny, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think he ever had a steady girl like that.
Wow. You mentioned you knew the family. I mean, obviously, like, they must be in shock right now too. I don't know if you're
family. I feel for the family. Yeah, I feel for the family. The family was in Young America, and it's like, we was right. My dad dated Keegan Klein's mom, so that's how we were cool. But that was like when I was like in 5th grade, and he was in 4th grade or 5th grade. But yeah, he's got a brother and a sister, and they are like down to earth, normal people. And I know when the FBI got in contact with me like 8 months ago, the sister hit me up, and his girlfriend at the time, Kegan's girlfriend, didn't even know. And I guess she was like 18 too, like she was younger. I don't know how old Kegan is right now. So he'd be like, what, 25, 26, 27, you guys know?
I think I saw on public records that he's like a year younger than me, and I'm like 27. I think
yeah, that would make sense. So yeah, he'd be like 26, and he's got a girlfriend that's 18 or 19. Yeah, so I mean, so it's obviously, it's like that's how. But that was just recent. But his family though, yeah, like they're good people. Like my cousin and Kegan Klein's brother were tight. Like they were real tight. They were cool. Like I know Kegan's family. Like yeah, they're not it's not that this shit shouldn't be even happening for real. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It should. You would figure some crazy shit happens through maybe in a car accident they kill somebody, but to be like this, to be the discussion with the child pornography, it's like this is like wild to me, wild out of my imagination to me for real.
I imagine, and I'm curious. You mentioned hanging out near Walton. Was Delphi a place where people from your area would like go hang out or know about or like?
Me personally, I don't think so. But Kegan, it would make sense because he was around Peru, Walton, Galveston, and stuff like that. Delphi for me would just be like pass through. I couldn't even give you a residence in Delphi, you know what I mean? So for me and Kegan never hung out. I've never hung out with that dude in Delphi ever in my life. I've never known him to know anybody in Delphi. So yeah, all that shit right there, it is kind of wild to me. Like, I am curious myself. I'm wondering what happens. I personally don't believe that that's the case, but I would have also told you 8 months ago I personally didn't believe that he did the child molesting shit. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
It wouldn't completely like shock me at this point, at this exact moment, to be like, yeah, they found him guilty. It would, because killing somebody's wild to think about, especially little girls. That shit is even more wild. Like, to kill somebody in self-defense is one thing, but yeah, for just, I don't know the word, but just like outrageously killing somebody and then some little girls, that's unfathomable to me. I would have never put him in that category.
I know in his booking photo, he was wearing like a UAW union shirt, local 685. Do you know what kind of job he had?
He wasn't working. That's probably his pop shirt, probably his dad's shirt. That's what everybody's thinking too. Like, look at his shirt. Like, dude is the same size as his dad. I bet that's his dad's shirt. That's all that is. Because bro wasn't doing shit. He was moving on the internet and selling weed, and that's the only funds I ever had. Because he ain't never, like I said, I do heating and cooling. He ain't never worked honestly like that to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Ever that I know. Not no gas station job, not no nothing. Never. Lazy.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Always try to finesse. So here's what I thought personally, though, with him. Like, I connected my own dots with like him always being at home, because I thought the same thing. I'm like, no way this weed's bumping for him and jumping like that to pay his bills all the time. No way. So like, once the child pornography thing came down and he had mentioned the dark web and like, you know about this Epstein shit and all this other shit, I bet like this is a personal thought. I think that he got the underage like photos and then was on the dark web like selling them bitches. That's what I think, like selling the photos, you know what I mean?
Yeah. To
make money illegally, like through Bitcoin. Like, that's what I think now. Now that I'm like, it's done and looked at, that's what I'm like, I think that. Like, that's how he was making a living.
Wow. Oh man, yeah, that kind of connects everything.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? That's what I wasn't born yesterday, you know what I'm saying? I was born at night, but not last night. But that shit is something that, like, I thought about. I'm like, yeah, because I always wondered the same thing. I'm like, bro, I got to put on boots every morning. Like, you know what I'm saying? I hit you up and you're just at the apartment ready. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be selling weed all day, bro.
Yeah.
I've had a dark past before to where you sold a little bit of weed and it's not like a substantial business or nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. It's not a profitable business to start up your life with. It's just,
it doesn't add up.
Not a thing.
And
no.
I wanted to ask you, we saw one tweet from him, because I think he's like the @Switch and Swishers or something.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Oh, you guys are investigators. Yeah, that's exactly right.
We try. We're investigative journalists. I mean, it's just, I mean, honestly, once you put the name together, it wasn't too hard to find. But he tweeted in 2016, and listen, like I listen to rap and stuff, so I don't want to be like, you know, overly harsh on just what's like lyrics to a song, you know what I mean? But he wrote something
right.
Like, I think I won't choke no whore, excuse me, till the vocal cords don't work in her throat no more. I mean, that sounds kind of violent.
No way.
Yeah. And
that is wild. I'm with you by the first day you said, like, everybody tweets out lyrics, but fudge. Like, I will tweet out something, or I don't even do Twitter no more, but it's like, some people normally when they do a lyric, it's not that crazy. That's pretty wild. I didn't know that. Yeah, that sounds crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. Some of his stuff on Twitter didn't seem that wild to me. It seemed pretty normal. That was one thing that stood out because it seemed more violent than the usual stuff.
Yeah, I never seemed him to be violent. I honestly see. But here's another, and this is just pure retrospect. Like, this is just pure accusation on my part. He seems like one of them dudes who is like, would beat up a young girl because he ain't beating up on no man. Like, dude was a heavy set dude, probably like, what, 230, however heavy he is. I'm like 160, 165. I've always been smaller than him, and I'd be able to whoop his ass. It's just the personal drive inside of somebody. You see what I'm saying? He never seemed like a tough guy to me,
right.
Ever. He never wanted to wrestle with, like, our friends. He was never. So, like, when it comes to, like, that, I would never want to accuse him, but he would look like the type of person who, like, that's the only people he's killing. That's the only type of person he would beat up. You know what I mean? It's a female, and maybe even a younger one. You know what I'm saying? But that's all allegation on my part. That's not necessarily right to even say, but that's just, it would make sense to me.
I'm curious, you know, in terms of, and this is going back to the Delphi side of things. I mean, which again, it's all allegations at this point because the law enforcement hasn't even really linked him to this conclusively yet. But, you know, the video that goes out there of the bridge guy walking on the bridge, I'm sure you've seen, you know, in the Delphi case. Does that look like him at all to you?
I got to watch it again, to be honest to you. Now that there's light on it, like, I got to pull that video up and watch it real quick. I got YouTube. I could probably do it right now.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
It's been such a long time since I've seen that. Like, the Abby and Libby thing, we were talking about that driving through Delphi, like, a couple months back. Like, they still got the posters and up, and somebody was like, that was like 3 years ago. I'm like, that was like 5 years ago, bro. That's like 6 years ago. How long ago was it?
It's 5 years ago in February.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Somebody thought it was more recent. I'm like, no, it's time's going by, you know? What would I type on YouTube to look that up?
Delphi Bridge Guy.
Delphi Murders Podcast, Delphi Bridge Walk. Okay, right here.
You have it?
Yeah, I do. And it really don't. That jacket and shit don't look like nothing he's wearing. That looks like an old man. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
It don't look like Kegan. Kegan was like, she just said, he's like 26, 20. I'm 28.
And in the booking photos of Kegan, he looks very heavy. And I'm not sure if the guy in that video looks as heavy as Kegan.
Yeah, he doesn't. Kegan is heavy. Like, he was big. He's gotten bigger in the last year. But it wasn't like a dramatic thing. But yeah, that guy in the video, like, I think I just got the audio. Here's one of him walking down. But just that outfit to me, the light blue jeans with the brown, with the coat, that looks like a 40-year-old something outfit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. So it doesn't look like him to you?
No, honestly not. I'm trying to get it like a physical him walking. Here it is. No, not really. I mean, that's kind of hard to tell, but it's like I would be going for a stretch and I'd be like hyping you guys up. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, that looks like no, not really.
We so appreciate you being honest and taking a look at it because, you know, we're not rushing to condemn anyone here. I think it's one of those things, like, I think everyone now is going to be like, you know, this guy is the Delphi killer, as you saw on social media. But, you know, as we found, there's plenty of bad guys everywhere in terms of, like, you know, doing crimes against children. Not all of them can be the Delphi killer.
What do you think that is so interesting of it? Because it's like, is it the justice of finding that person, or is it just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I was like, I don't know. Like, it just seems weird that everybody's the interest of it. It's like, I don't know if everybody's like intent is wholeheartedly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
we're trying to figure
I'll
it
tell
out.
you. I'll tell you my thinking. It's like the guy was captured on video, whoever did this, and everybody's like wants to be the person to find out who it was. You know, for their curiosity. You know, to so there's justice for the girls. I think there's some good intentions there. And you know, it's also like the curiosity of like, who could have done this? Why has it gone unsolved? We need to punish somebody, and all of that's driving this really intense search. You know, and so. You know, I mean, I just, you know, it's just be aware of that. Be aware of that interest, you know, for you and your family and, you know, people you care about, because if there turns out to be a connection here, you know, the media is going to be really going at this pretty hard. It just because it's such a big story, right?
Yeah, but I figure, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I know you make complete sense by saying that. It's just kind of jaw dropping, you know what I mean? Because it seems like hyenas looking after like the wolves, because there's something, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you pin the nail on it, because it's like, are we focused on giving them justice and finding out the killer? Or are you just, like you said, are you trying to find the hot take and be like, I'm the one who found them, I got them? You know what I mean? Shit sounds weird to me.
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well right there.
Yeah, the intent behind it. That sounds like that's almost like, I'm not going to go as far as say it's evil as the act of murder, because it's obviously not, but it's pretty heavy to feel that. You know what I mean? Imagine why you wake up in the morning to not, for real, and this sounds crazy, but this is how I think, for real. Like, I think, like, some people are, like, waking up in the morning like, bet, we're about to get this juicy-ass story, instead of being, like, caring about them girls. Like, that shit sounds wild to me that even say that. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like that's really some people's intent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it can be hard. And that's what we as journalists and investigators try to, like, balance, because we want to get the facts out to people, but we don't want to be like ruining people's lives, or, you know, like people will just like name random people who have like no connection. You know, it can be a hot mess is basically what I'm saying.
It definitely can, because you're already seeing, like I said, by the time I was on the phone with you or my brother, one or two, like, somebody comment on my post like, this dude's tied in with the Delphi killer. I'm like, oh man, slow down, bro. You know what I mean? Like, because on my profile, like 8 months ago or however long, I think me and my brother pulled it up, like whenever he got arrested. Do you guys know the date that he got arrested?
It was sometime in March. Was it, am I making that up, Kevin? It was sometime in March or April. Yeah.
No, you're not wrong, because I bought my house in March, and I was still in my trailer, and I had met the FBI agent and while I was still living in my trailer, and he said that Kegan was arrested and all this stuff. But I was about to say, I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, I don't know what I was about to say.
No, it must be such a crazy experience to be through. But
right.
I mean, this has just been so crazy, because like the police released this information last night at like 9 p.m. and it's like, what is going on?
Why are they doing that though? Why are they playing around with it like that, you think?
I really don't know. And I think it's very interesting that the FBI on one hand were saying basically like, hey, we don't think it was this guy. And then a few years later, the ISP is like, hey, this guy might be linked. And it's like, what? Which, I don't know. I just, it's very
And that's weird, because I don't want to say verbatim, but yeah, when I was with that guy, the guy who met me, I don't have his card anymore, but it was like the FBI or whoever it was, he was saying the same thing. I thought that was weird too. I'm like, I don't know exactly, like I told you verbatim what he said to me, but the fact that the Delphi anything brought up, because I asked him, I was like, is he going to be in jail forever for a long time? And he's like, because you know what I mean? You don't think 30 counts or however many, maybe if he got caught, because this is like the first second somebody's telling me. He was like the first one. He's like, no, dude, we got him on so many different child pornography. He could be tied to this, and that's why I was like, oh yeah, this shit's crazy. And I told my brother, this is what other people ain't connecting, that Kegan his name is Kegan Anthony Kline.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Anthony Shot. That's what my brother. I was like, yeah, people not seeing that. That's
did he
definitely
ever
old
call
boy.
himself that, or like
Yeah, like definitely. I know his name is. I knew his middle name was that.
Oh, was Anthony?
For sure.
Did he?
Yeah, he didn't call himself that. No,
Yeah.
he didn't walk around and be like, yeah, call me Anthony. No, but like he was. Yeah, I would definitely know. You know how you would grow up and never know somebody's middle name? You definitely knew his middle name was Anthony. So that's how that went.
Right.
I knew it.
It also seems really interesting. I mean, that, I don't know. Like, I think he kind of looks like the younger Sketch a little bit, but I don't know.
Right, and the sketches side by side, I get it, they do. But yeah, the guy on the bridge, definitely the clothing and just definitely the figure and walking. No, that's not to me, anyways. But that could have been just a random guy walking on the bridge, just recorded. You know what I mean? I don't know. But as far as I don't know. It just seems, I don't know what I'm saying. It's just a lot of crazy shit going through my mind. I don't know.
We really don't know what to make of this development yet. It seems bizarre to us that the Indiana State Police would just drop this information on a Monday night in late 2021 after being aware of Klein since February of 2017. We also wonder why Ramsey seemed to all but clear Klein back then in his statement to the media, and what exactly has changed. Are there factions within the investigation that disagree on this front? We can't say, we just don't know. But we must note that there may be forces and considerations at play here that we have no way of knowing about. We just hope that this latest news indicates that answers are on the way for the families of Libby and Abby, the Delphi community, and everyone who cares about what happened to these two girls.
Thanks very much to Dylan for speaking with us. We really appreciated the candid talk. Also, please, if you have any information that could help solve the murders of Libby and Abby, contact law enforcement. You can call the Delphi Homicide Tip Line at 844-459-5786. Tips can also be submitted online via Abby and Libby Tip at cacoshrf.com.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Murder Sheet. As always, thanks to Kevin Tyler Greenlee, who composed the music for The Murder Sheet, and who you can find on the web at kevintg.com.
To keep up with the latest on The Murder Sheet, please make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Murder Sheet, and on Facebook at MSheet Podcast, or by searching Murder Sheet. If you enjoy listening to The Murder Sheet, please leave us a 5-star review to help us gain more exposure. And send tips, suggestions, and feedback to murdersheet@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening.